Alrighty, well, I got invited to a Zoom wedding, so let's take a look. Ah, starting now. Okay. Oh God. Is it over? Is it over?
Please repeat after me.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh God, this series is draining me. Oh God, I've never been to such a boring wedding. I'm Adam the OcCULTure Critic. I get scared because I don't care. Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 is a return to form for this series in that almost nothing fucking happens. The story is Bella and Edward finally get married, fresh out of high school. Then they have their honeymoon. Bella gets pregnant, and then the rest of it is pretty much her going through this pregnancy in just a span of a few weeks. That's it. That is part 1. That is the entirety of part 1. That is 2 hours. And I watched the extended edition. This kind of started this whole thing of taking a franchise of YA adaptations and turning them into, taking the final installment and splitting it into 2 parts because it's a big finale. And it started with the final Harry Potter entries with the Deathly Hallows. With that, though, it made sense. It kind of did, because you look at those and you see there's a lot of information that needed to be in that series, that needed to be in those movies, and you really couldn't have it all in one book. And same thing with The Hobbit. You can kind of see that being split into at least 2 movies. 3, maybe not so much. But 2, it made sense. Breaking Dawn didn't need to be split into 2 movies. You could have because it takes 30 minutes. 30 minutes to have the wedding. Something that could have been 10 minutes. But no, 30 minutes of this wedding. And then we get the second act is the honeymoon, which that that's longer than it should have been. Then you get the pregnancy, which, oh god. This movie is directed by Bill Condon, who, along with the second part, and this is the same guy that remade Beauty and the Beast. So you know you're in for some terrible, terrible shit in this movie. I didn't surprisingly hate this movie as much as I hated the Beauty and the Beast remake. I don't know why. I think it's just because I guess Beauty and the Beast in live action had higher expectations than this did. And that's more than likely why. The other thing is, this is one of those movies where if you just take out the filler, if you shorten all the scenes, this could have been, parts 1 and 2 could have just been one movie. Could have been one 3-hour-long movie. But no. We had to pad it out so we could split it into 2 movies and make that money. Because Harry Potter did it, so therefore Twilight must do it. So we start with the wedding. We don't just start with the wedding, we start with everything leading up to it. We start with the invitations being sent out. We start with Jacob getting his and crying and running off in the rain because without his shirt on, because, you know, everyone likes that. God, Jesus. We then go to them getting set for the wedding. Alice is getting the wedding prepared. She's telling everyone where to put the seeds, where everything needs to be set. I'm just sitting here going, why doesn't she have her own business here? Because this is actually really elaborate for something that had to not cost a whole lot, or supposedly not supposed to cost a lot. Yet here we are. I would hire Alice to coordinate my wedding. I would. So yeah, we get Alice. She's a treasure. We get everyone else getting the wedding ready and blah blah blah, and then we get to the moments before the wedding where Charlie and his ex-wife, Bella's mom, are in the Cullens' house, and they see this. Something I forgot to mention is that in the first movie, there's this kind of art of all the Cullens' graduation hats that they had over the decades, and it's kind of a joke for them, and Charlie just kind of sees it's weird that they have this. And I am sitting here going, dude, put 2 and 2 together, please. Just put 2 and 2 together. You're a cop. You should be able to deduce this. And then we get this moment where Daddy sees Bella all prettied up. She looked very pretty. I'm not gonna lie. She looked very, very beautiful in this. And then we get that. And then we also get this nightmare the night before where Bella has a dream of the wedding. Everyone's in white. And then the Volturi show up there. And then she turns around and all her human friends and family are dead, piled up. And then it just zooms out of this blood-soaked Edward and her making it look like a wedding cake, basically. I feel stupid for not realizing that. But that's what it was. I'm like, okay, that's well shot. If there's one thing I'll say about this movie, it is well shot. It is very well shot. They do a lot of symbolism that I'm sure Matthew Buck would be screaming over. There's a lot, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but it's there. And then you get the reception. Oh god, we're introduced to these other vampires. We're introduced to Maggie Grace, who's a vampire, who was in a relationship with Laurent, who was the vampire with the dreads in the first and second movie, who was killed by the werewolves in New Moon. And I'm sorry I forgot to mention him in that, but that's how little impact he had. And here she's like, oh, he changed. He wasn't with them anymore. He wasn't gonna kill you, blah blah blah. Werewolves killed him for no reason, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting here going, wait, Laurent? Oh, that guy. Hi? Where did this come from? Again, like, things were missing here. Things that would have been far more interesting. We got those. We got these other characters. We got, like, Maggie Grace's two sisters, who I swear to God look like the Wayans brothers in White Chicks. I don't mean to be mean about that, but that's what they look like. Then we get the testimonies and the toasts. We get Anna Kendrick just so riffing the fuck out of this movie, clearly. Just having the time of her life. It's just not giving a fuck at this point. Like, this is basically her last movie. She's not in the next one. This is her last one, and I'm going, why did Bella need these guys as friends? They serve no purpose whatsoever. And then you have Charlie and Edward having their toast, which was nice, especially Edward's. It was fine. And then you get his wedding gift to Bella, which was basically Jacob shows up, and then they spend a moment together. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And it was a really nice moment, because you get to see Jacob be a decent person for fucking once. Like, he is at least once just finally accepting the fact that the woman he loves is in love with someone else, and he's just wanting to spend at least one final moment with her. And he even says, I want to spend one final moment with you as a human. And that's when she goes, I'm not changing, not for a while. It's like, what are you talking about? Your honeymoon. Turns out, humans and vampires should not be fucking. Because it's very dangerous for humans. Because vampires are very strong. And of course, because of this, Jacob loses his collective shit and gets physical with Bella. Again, this motherfucker is a physical abuser. I swear to God, it's Edward's fault too for not informing Bella on something this important. But here we are. And of course, Sam and the pack show up to drag him away because he is being a jackass. And Sam is like, just enjoy your wedding. Enjoy your wedding. He'll be fine. He's just got to cool it off. That's all. That's all. I'm like, okay. All right. Fine. We get that. And then we get the honeymoon, which is far too fucking long. But I will say two things that I like about it. One, it actually shows Edward and Bella having a relationship. That's the thing I hated about these movies, though, is that there's no real relationship. There's nothing about them that makes you want to go, why are they together? You're trying to see the connection, and you really don't. Here, there is a connection. You can definitely see there's a connection between the two. You can tell that they love each other, that they are in love with each other. This is the glowing moment. Second thing is, the sex is actually pretty fucking good. For a PG-13 movie, you are seeing these guys fuck. Like, and I mean fuck. Like, these guys fuck hard. They literally break the bed. And it's just holy shit. you see this, and it's actually really good. I'm sitting here going, I saw the first hour of 50 Shades of Grey and going, oh my god, Twilight has better sex. How's that possible? Because for 3 movies, I am sitting here going, this series is so goddamn chaste, I am pretty sure I'm a virgin again. And yet, here's the movie where the sex is good. Where they don't hold back. I mean, for PG-13, they don't hold back. It's amazing to see. It is well worth the price alone. And then we get, Bella pregnant, and then they have to go back. They have to hide the fact that it's killing her, and the effects in this are really good. It's a mixture of CGI and makeup where Bella is just skeletal. The pregnancy is literally, it looks like it's literally sucking the life out of her. To the point where it is she moves the wrong way, it will break her bones. It breaks her ribs, and there's a moment where she drops something and tries to pick it up, and it just snaps her back. I'm not fucking, she goes backwards. I am sitting there, oh shit! They have to perform a C-section on her, and without Carlisle there, so Edward has to do it. And holy fucking shit! The pregnancy is pretty intense. I know there have been stories of people having seizures during it because it's from Bella's perspective, which is, I will admit, is relatively effective. But if you are prone to epilepsy or any kind of seizures, I recommend watching it with a family. Do not watch it by yourself, or try to skip it as much as you can, because it might induce a seizure, and I really wouldn't want that for any of my viewers or anyone who's curious about this movie, even though I really don't recommend it. And then we get, and meanwhile, also Jacob has broken off from Sam's pack because he's tired of being the beta. He wants to be the alpha. Guess what? You're going to be the beta forever. All right, it doesn't fucking matter. So he and along with 2 other members of Sam's pack go to the Cullens to basically be the guardians, the ones to protect them during this time. One of them is named Leah Clearwater, who really doesn't like Bella, and you can kind of see why. 1, Bella's not a good person, honestly. 2, as much as I hate Jacob, I don't know why Leia and Jacob didn't end up together. Honestly, a rewrite, that it would have been fine. They talk about this whole imprinting thing, which comes into play later. And you just kind of wonders, why don't they just say, fuck the imprint law, and they end up together? This could have been a thing. This could have worked, because she was introduced in the movie before. And I like the actress. She's in The Mandalorian in episode 4. She's in that. She's actually pretty fucking cool. So I like her. I think she's fine in this. Boo Boo Stewart plays her brother, who I liked him in X-Men X-Men Days of Future Past as Warpath. Not so much in this. He's really bad in this. He's very bad in this. So you're kind of going so you got an actual Native American actor here who could have been Jacob, but then you watch him play against Taylor Lautner, and you kind of go, ooh, no, probably not. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is that earlier in the movie, and goes back to, there are far more interesting backstories than there is a main plot in this. And that is, Edward tells Bella one last time, are you positive you want to spend the rest of your life with me? Are you absolutely certain? Because I gotta tell you, I've killed people before. and he goes during a time when it was 1930s, and it cuts to Edward in the movie theater and just immediately cuts to the Bride of Frankenstein. It's the scene where the bride is screaming at the monster because she's terrified of him. And he's in this theater, and he's looking at this girl in the audience who then leaves, and you're thinking, it's like, oh shit, he's gonna eat her. He's gonna bite her. No, he's stalking men who are going to rape this woman. He's a fucking vampire vigilante in 1930 Chicago. I am sitting here going, why isn't this a movie? I would watch this again. I would watch this. It's so much more interesting than what we have here. But I digress. Back to the main plot. She's having the baby. Sam and the werewolves are going to go and kill her and the baby to protect the rest of the pack because they believe a half-breed is dangerous, which from what I'm seeing it is. And the baby's born. Bella is dead, despite what Edward is doing. Everything Edward has tried. And Jacob is going to go and kill the baby. And this is where any ounce of likability Jacob could have had, just a small amount, any ounce of it that could have redeemed him, is officially fucking gone. Because as I said about the imprint, comes into play. Because the moment he sees this horrifying CGI baby, he imprints on the baby, not as a parent would a child, or vice versa, but as someone, an animal would on a mate. Anyway, the imprint saves the baby. The wolves can't kill the baby because there's no sacred law. Even though they're also technically human with human morality, you would think they would still go, Jacob, you're sick. You're fucking sick. So they all get ready for Bella's funeral. They're dressing her up, making her look pretty to bury her, and then she becomes a vampire, and it ends with her eyes opening, having turned red. The end. Or is it? Because then, during the mid-credit scene, we see this woman walk in and hand a letter off to the Volturi. Michael Sheen, being Michael Sheen, just is like, oh, yes, oh, well, we must go and greet them. Ah! And then, whatever reason, he murders. Like, this is a thing about him in this movie. It's like he murders like 2 servants twice in this movie, all because they either interrupt him doing nothing or they misspell the name Carlisle. And I am sitting here going, this guy's a fucking sociopath. Does no one realize this guy's insane? He just killed. And like, there's a scene where his henchmen bite the first girl, and then they zoom out, and there's a pile of bodies body is all off to the side, which was a really effective shot. Like, it really just showed the Volturi are menacing. They are a force to be reckoned with. I will give it that. Like, the Volturi are interesting because, mostly because of Michael Sheen is just really fucking awesome in this series. Like, I love Michael Sheen in this movie, and boy do I love him in the second movie. Oh my god. Like, there are things I like about it. It is well shot. It is pretty. Some of the acting is pretty good. The effects are good. Like, this is honestly some of Kristen Stewart's best work in this, as she is struggling with this pregnancy that is literally killing her from the inside. I do like elements of this movie. I like elements of this series. The problem with this is, once again, there isn't a whole lot fucking happening, and it gets dull and boring. I don't need 30 minutes of a fucking wedding. I don't need to spend almost 3 minutes watching Charlie and Bella walking down the aisle. I don't need that. Oh my god, does it take forever? I don't need 20 minutes of this honeymoon. Once again, cut the filler out, and then you can put both the movies together into a 3-hour film. I would have been fine with that. That's honestly what you could have done. And of course, Jacob yeah. It just isn't a good movie, and I mean, then you got the second one or the next one, which I'll get to later. But I'm almost done with this series, and I'm thankful for that. With that said, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about with this movie, because not a whole lot happens save for the wedding, the honeymoon, and the pregnancy. This doesn't feel like Deathly Hallows Part 1, where a lot of shit did happen, where things happened where you understood why it had to be split into movies, because you do have, and you also have that character development, you have that tension, you have these scenes, you see people die. There's no real stakes to it. There's no real build up to this final battle. Hell, when I watched the part 2, it didn't feel like a second part. It felt like it should have been a book and a movie technically really on its own. Like, it should have been more of a sequel than a second part to a finale. It should have been more like an Endgame. It should have been less Deathly Hallows Part 2 and more like Avengers Endgame. Just not as good as Avengers Endgame. With that said, I give Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 a 4 out of 10. This movie did have some nice visuals. There were moments where it was cringeworthy to look at in a good way. It's just, unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot else. And Jacob belongs on a list. I'm almost done with this series, and I can't wait for that. But I think I need to also figure out why this Blu-ray was sent to me, because I'm starting to think it wasn't sent by a dead uncle. Something nefarious is going on here. I'm gonna find out what. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, I'm on the Slasher app at OcCULTure Critic. I'm out of the OcCULTure Critic. I get scared because I don't care. And we're almost done with this month. Let's just hope I live to see it. I'll see you guys next time.